All right, so we're back on. So I did a little bit more on this drawing. Also added a bit of a perspective line. Another one of the huge advantages of working digitally, obviously, is that you can make a guideline that you can turn on and off at will, showing all of the perspective, which is just such a great aid, especially if you're doing some crazy perspective like this scene. So since the last video, I've done, his name is Giacomo, the giant pumpkin, who's kind of walking through the town. Everyone's getting frustrated and things are falling off of ledges, breaking, rooftops are even breaking. I'm going to probably add more damage happening. But basically the message to convey in this image is that people are starting to get frustrated that he's destroying aspects of the town, but accidentally, of course. And so now I want to tackle this character, who's kind of the main character of the scene. So I thought it'd be good to give him his own video. Oh. Actually, I'm not sure how that's going to work yet, so let's just leave that. So this is the man. So I just wanted to I'm going to draw this guy's head. This is this horrible rough sketch that I'm working with underneath. So yeah, nice gesture. I mean, it's got the gesture there. The movement is happening, but the actual appealing character is not. And by appeal, I don't mean like attractive. Appeal and attractiveness have nothing to do with each other. Appeal is more like slightly harder to explain. It's more like if the character is believable and realistic and feels like they fit within the story and the aesthetic of the rest of the characters. These characters I feel do, although I'm having a hell of a time with this woman. She looks a little bit like the Grinch who stole Christmas right now, so I'm probably going to change her face a little later on. But this guy is a great opportunity to, and also it's a 3/4 front shot, so I thought I'd walk you guys through how I would approach this. So yeah, I'm just going to start and see what happens. That's the great thing about working digitally, is that you can kind of just go with it and see how it goes. I try to get his head shape first. Feeling like this is going to be a bit of a triangle. All of these characters just seem a bit aggressive and like mean, like this woman. So I'm going to try to do the same thing for this guy. Might also try to change up their eyes. I feel like I didn't do enough variation of a lot of the eyes of these characters. So I'm just adjusting the sketch underneath so that I have a little bit more accurate of a drawing to work with. Just want to widen the eyes. The variation in head shapes and sizes and just the way that the features move is limitless. Like you could just study this so far and just try every single little variation of different facial features, and you'd still just, I feel like, grasp the beginning. I still struggle with just like what the face is capable of, and then I'll see a drawing and I'm like, wow, I didn't even know you could do that. But that yeah, I can see how it makes sense. One thing that I try to, not even that consciously, but I seem to have in a lot of my images, is I like to keep them somewhat realistic, and just realistic in the sense that they have like clear lids. Like this eye, for example, is set up to have a very clear eyelid and underlid, and even a cuticle. Sometimes I'll put those in, not always, but whereas a lot of especially in cartoons, they'll just forego a lot of this detail. But I really like to maintain a sense of detail. I think like you can still have a very cartoony and caricatured look without losing a lot of the fun detail. This is the great benefit of illustration over old school animation, is that animation you had to simplify characters. But illustration, you can keep all of the nice subtle complexity of the individual faces. So this guy's looking pretty frightening so far. Might have to tone this down a little bit. Again, I never know exactly. Oh shoot, started drawing in the wrong layers. Just paste that back. Yeah, I don't want to like scare any of the children that are reading this, so. But I do really like to get a full emotional range out of my characters. I think that's something to strive for, is to really get a definite feeling from the characters. So I'll really like work with the possibilities of the lines, and so on some more than others. Since this is the central character of the scene, I really want to, oh, I have a feeling, yep, he's not looking at her, is he? Often happens. Luckily, again, working digitally, I can just kind of, just need it to be more over here, basically. I don't know what I was previously talking about. You guys got to try drawing and talking at the same time. It's quite a challenge. It makes me think of like a musician who has to play an instrument and dance at the same time or something. All right, so now it looks like he's looking at her a bit more. Yeah, I would say so. All right, now the nose. Another thing that has just so much variety and complexity to it. It's funny, I feel like so much of art and illustration and animation is trying to synthesize theory. I mean, this is what all teachers are tasked with, at least, is to try to find the ideas of how to approach everything, but I feel like so much of it is just intuitive after a while. Obviously, you need to have certain constraints, but it's hard to really describe fully why you make some of the choices that you do. Sometimes you just do. So one thing that I realized with both these characters that I really want to have them have very clear disgusted or angry expressions because they're frustrated with the big pumpkin who's just roaming around the streets, knocking stuff over. Might be a little bit of noise in the background, but it's fine. So another thing when you're drawing characters is to just have a bit of a sense of where the cheeks are, where the lips are. Knowing a little bit of this anatomy can really help. I'm always searching for ways to simplify though with this bottom area here, because again it is still a cartoon, so I want to have some pretty clear simplified versions of everything. So the thing about the lids that I'm realizing that I added here is that it makes him look not as intense as he could be. So I'm going to eliminate some of that lid, which makes the eyebrow more focused right above that eye and makes the expression a bit more dramatic. This has got very dominant cheekbones, this guy. Sunken cheeks, as they say. So there's a lot of variety that could happen here. With the tongue. Maybe a bit too much tongue. That's pretty good, getting there. This guy looks like he's definitely having a frustrated time with something. Starting to feel like this eye might be a bit too far close to that cheekbone. It's kind of in the cheekbone. Not that this needs to make perfect sense, but The more accurate it can be, the more believable the character will ultimately be. Can kind of just like intuitively finding the right shapes for the hair here. The ear, I'm changing the position of here. So that's one of those nice strokes from this brush. It's such a nice thick and thin. It's a bit too thin at the back there. So I'm going to go that back in perspective. Actually, this whole color is a bit dramatic. Better. Why waste a line when it can be just moved and used elsewhere? Alright, so this collar is clearly way too big, considering how I'm drawing this neck here. So I'm just going to shorten, make everything a bit smaller. There we go. It's going a little bit better now. See, this guy, I feel like I could start to imagine what his voice could sound like. I feel like there's enough character in him now that make his hair a little scraggled, so he's clearly frustrated with the amount of noise happening. I've also aged him a bit in certain areas with the eye lines. I could even age him a little bit more by pulling the cheek down a bit. The more of these lines, these internal lines that you have, the more it's going to age them. So yeah, I'm starting to kind of feel good about this character. Anyways, so that's how I would approach the face. Again, I kind of decide on the shape first, and then, no, this isn't always the case. Sometimes I'll work with an individual feature, decide on the shape first, and then kind of work inwards as I see fit. I've drawn a bunch of different character faces, so this is just one approach of how to approach a character head.